Wonderful. Okay, Pamazida, I think we are ready on COP side. Cik Samsul?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can Puan Mazida hear and see me? Can.
Yeah, very clear.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Very clear. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum everyone. It is a great pleasure to welcome all of you to our special engagement with Industrial Expert Program titled Talent Empowerment, organized by Management Services Division IIM in collaboration with Professional and Management Association or PMA. This is our second program, where the first session was done last March. Before the event starts, I would like to inform that for registration of attendance, kindly log in to iAttend. We will be sharing the link via chat box shortly, and inshallah the program will begin soon. We value your cooperation and your understanding. Before we move forward for the program, let us begin the program with the recitation of Kitab Al-Fatihah and Dua. Allahumma aftah alaina hikmataka wa anshur alaina min qada'i rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Next, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jainizana binti Muhammad Ramli. I am from Management Services Division, International Islamic University Malaysia, IIM. I will be your MC for this program. And before we proceed further, I would to get a permission, or please allow me to speak in dua language, Melayu and Bahasa Inggeris. I would like to now welcome our Executive Director, Madam Fazidah Haji Makia, to deliver the welcoming remarks for the program. Please welcome, Madam.
Okay, thank you, Sister Joaini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm thinking it's still not too late for me to wish everyone online Aidilfitri Eid Mubarak. I'm informed that we also have staff with us today. Is it online, Sister Joaini?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. First and foremost, I would like to thank our guest speaker. Today we have Madam Nik Amlizan, the CEO of QAP, for being with us today in the series of special engagement with the industrial or with the HR expert. This is a second talk that we have this year. Though IUM is so-called a company governed by the government, having someone who has vast experience in industrial background, I really hope that we could learn a lot from our speaker today, and I really hope that our participants today will take this opportunity to ask questions, to give your views and comments, so that we can share our experience, working experience on HR with our guest speaker. And the topics for today is talent empowerment. I guess it's going to be very interesting, especially with today's situation with the COVID, with the new era, the Gen Y and Z. So this topic is very relevant for us, talent empowerment. And I guess that we will learn a lot from our speaker today. I apologize because I can't stay long because I have another meeting to attend. But I really hope that all the participants will take this opportunity. Bukan selalu kita have this opportunity to have someone yang have a very vast experience. Madam Nik so-called apa panggil tadi apa Mac our Madam Mac then I really hope lah kita dapat bertukar-tukar pendapat, kita dapat share a lot of things, and we have with us also the moderator Brother Saiful yang quite ada experience also with the industry, and I really hope that this today's program this morning and I guess it's going to be very interesting. Rugi juga rasanya tak dapat with all of you today together. Tapi insyaAllah I will listen it through the YouTube ya. Ada YouTube kan Joy ini? By today jugalah. Tonight nanti nak dengar. Of course it's going to be very interesting. So with that, enjoy the talk ya. And I hope that it's not going to be first and the last ya Nick. Really hope that we can see face to face one day.
InsyaAllah. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Our offices are quite nearby. Nanti insyaAllah you may come and visit us, or we can go and visit Kuap one day. Yeah. So all the best and enjoy the talk. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Madam, for the warm welcoming speech. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator, in which I do not have to introduce, as how well known he is in our community, IIM community, Saiful Reza Muhammad. He is from our Counseling and Career Services Center, CCSC. So let us praise Allah SWT. We have been graced by the chance to gather in this program. So without further ado, allow me to hand over the program for today to Mr. Saiful. Silakan Cik Saiful.
Alright, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you Sister Johanny, the MC for today. Of course, our respected Executive Director, Management Services Division of IUM in Fazilah here. Our esteemed speaker for today, Madam Nick Amlizan Mohammed, the Chief Executive Officer of Kumpulan 1 Persaraan, the staff from the CUAP, of course, our fellow brothers and sisters from IUM. Not late to also wish all of you and Salam Aidil Fitri Taqabbal minna wa minkum. Alhamdulillah, blessed Friday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very fruitful discussion, knowledge sharing between IUM and CUAP. Thank you so much, Madam Amlizan, for your time, despite your hectic schedule, willing to share your expertise, your background, some of the ideas on how we're going to empower talent for both sides, I think, for CUAP and IUM itself. Alright, so tak kenal maka tak cinta ya. Tapi sebelum tu, allow me also to remind to the members of IUM, I can see here at the Zoom, we still have 64 more to go. Please remind some of your friends who are free to join us, but I know some of us are actually joining us through the YouTube, and it's going to be very, not really casual, but with semi-formal. Boleh ke Madam Nick Amlizan, I ask your permission, we don't have to wait till the end, perhaps for whatever curiosity that they have in mind, they want to ask a question, you can simply straight away go to the chat, so we fully aware what kind of thought or question that you want to have. Kita boleh stop dan kita address kepada pertanyaan. Please remind me kalaulah ada sesuatu pertanyaan mungkin saya skip dekat YouTube dan sebagainya. I think MSD joining and the crew will be more than happy to remind me. Alright, so kita dah tak sabar, and saya sendiri pun among many companies that actually we engage to promote our graduates. CUAP adalah antara yang saya pun tak sempat lagi bersinggah dan berkenalan. And then looking at the slide, oh ada satu program management training program punya, kami terlepas dah. The closing date February. Otherwise, we always promote to our students. Alright, so tak kenal maka tak cinta. Di Malaysia ini, I can say bukan di Malaysia saja, globally, it's very difficult for us to actually get CEO lah. Betul ke, Madam Amlizan? Because we're going to have so many positions in whatever organization, but CEO is only one. All right, so this one pretty sure there's only one among there's so many talents in organization. There must be a good quality.
No problem.
must be good quality, must be something special that enables somebody to become a CEO. Okay, so for today, I think speaking about talent empowerment is not only kita limit the scope to the organization, perhaps your career development, Madam Nick, if you not don't mind to share with us the career ladder, how you actually got a very positive career development to the position that you possess now. So that may inspire a number of people here, especially our young talents, inshallah. So I do little Simon, looking at your LinkedIn. Okay, allow me to read, but I think looking at the slide, I think you are the best person to share more about yourself. Giving just some of the idea, you started your career back in June 2007 with QUAP as a Chief Investment Officer for 11 years till 2018. And then you moved to the Chief Executive for the Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera. Alright, so 2018 sampai 2020 for 2 years time, and then come back and silih pulang ke Ganggang as a Chief Executive Officer. Kumpulan Wang Persaraan. So what should we call the KWAP? I think QUAP is quite popular. All right. So without further ado, we are more than happy to listen to a very important person today. Maybe your background first, how you actually start your career, Madam Nick. So go ahead. Without further ado, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good Friday morning to Madam Fazida, Cik Saiful, Puan Juaini, IIUM Management Committee members, highly esteemed academicians, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat Hari Raya, maaf zahir dan batin. First and foremost, I'd like to convey my deepest appreciation to IIUM Management Services Division for having me here today to share my view on a topic that I am truly passionate about, talent empowerment. So before I start, as Cik Saiful mentioned, I've been asked to share a bit of my professional background. This year would mark my more than 30 years of experience in the financial services and pension fund industry. I graduated 1991 actually from Claremont McKenna College in US, and worked in San Francisco after graduation for 2 years, but more in accounting administrative function. So after coming back from the US, I decided to go into the investment field, where I first started at BBMB Unit Trust, Bank Bumi Putra. Now it is part of CIMB principal, and then had various stints in other financial institutions such as Maybank Investment Management and RHB Asset Management. So in 2007, I was then headhunted to join QUAP as head of equity, and was appointed as the chief investment officer in 2014. So in 2018, as you mentioned, I received the offer to become the chief executive of Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera, or better known as LTAT. So taking over from the previous chief executive who had been in the position for more than 36 years prior to my joining, meaning that everyone in LTAT then only knew one chief executive, and that was a male, of course. So when they had a female chief executive, so they had basically, I was blessed because they had no expectation. They did not know what to expect of me. So I had kind of a blank canvas that I can paint on for the organization. So many friends then, friends and colleagues were actually flabbergasted that I decided to join, to leave QUAP for LTAT, because the fund size, LTAT fund size is actually only about 10 billion ringgit. And when at that point of time, in 2018, I was already slated to be the successor for the CEO position in QUAP that had a fund size of 130 billion ringgit then in 2018. But fortunately, the interest to have a greater impact was way stronger, therefore making the decision to leave QUAP then a lot easier for me. As fate would have it, yes, upon completion of my contract at LTAT, I was then asked, requested actually by QUAP board to take the helm of QUAP as the CEO in November of 2020. So now I am leading this wonderful organization that now manages a pension fund of about 160 billion ringgit with a staff strength of more than 700. All in all, I would say, fortunately, Alhamdulillah, my journey has been a blessed one, as it has been relatively smooth. I would attribute it to the support system that I have always had, particularly at home. I have a very supportive husband and a wonderful late mother-in-law who helped so much during the formative years of my 6 children. She stayed with us for more than 15 years prior to her passing away last September. And of course, not to forget the support system that I've had in the office, in Co-op office, the very capable Co-op team members whose values and interests in growing Co-op are very similar to my own interests. So when I returned to Co-op, the fundamental question on my mind was, how do we build, because Co-op is a good organization, how do we make it great sustainably? How do we ensure that Co-op would continue to be sustainable amidst a myriad of challenges domestically and internationally, because we do have exposure from investment perspective in, I think, more than 41 countries, and also for us to provide the best services to our main stakeholders who are our pensioners, right? So this is not something that can easily be resolved within a short period of time, but more importantly, it is about building a solid foundation that is sustainable in the long term, that Co-op can autonomously move towards achieving our objectives, regardless of who sits in the chair at the helm. So this solid foundation that provides best-in-class governance structure always obviously starts with the people, with our own people. So the accomplishment of any organization, I believe, does not happen by chance. So we have to take time. We have to make the effort. It must be a conscious effort for us to develop our people and align their interests, their values and all that with the organization's objectives and goals. When I said objectives and goals, it's not only about short-term KPIs and so forth, but more of the long-term, why we exist, right? Why Co-op exists. So only then this organization can achieve our truly highest potential. So now that I'm heading Co-op, I am responsible for the entire organization, all 700 plus of us, and most importantly, the people who make up our organization, heart and soul, of course, Co-op employees. So what more, with Co-op's new slogan, I think you'll be amongst the first few that would hear this. We just launched this year, Teman Persaraan Anda. So I cannot stress enough how vital it is for us to not only support, but also offer growth to our employees. So essentially, we want everyone to have a productive working experience that gives them a sense of belonging. They can be that teman, right, for our pensioners. But over and above that, also make our team members feel appreciated. And that would also boost their confidence level. And of course, we believe that it would result in their higher level of commitment as well as loyalty to the organizations. So you know that we are quite a relatively young organization. For those joining in 2007, there are quite a number of us now having reached that 16 years of service within Co-op. And of course, but we are now a minority because we have a lot more coming from the private sector. So at Co-op, we value talent empowerment in assuring that employees are provided with sufficient and appropriate resources. These are very, very crucial. We have to offer them opportunities, autonomy, and motivation to complete their responsibilities successfully. And of course, allow them, this is actually quite crucial, allow each member to determine their own respective career paths for upskilling, training programs that they wish to partake in. Some of my HODs of the past have told me before that they think that organizations should decide the path of their employees. But I actually disagree with that. I think for us to get the best out of individuals and also talents, we have to allow them to seek their own passion that they have in their heart. Now, as we achieve, Co-op aspires to create a high performance team and of course committed to drive strategic impact through our team members. So we must first ensure that our talents are equipped with the right attitude, mindset and values. So we call it Co-op's DNA. So there are three. Number one is capacity for growth. That means that learning process will be an ongoing one. Number two, heart at the right place. No values is worth as much as integrity. So integrity must be at the center of this heart. And last but not least, representing the brand of Co-op, meaning that, you know, whenever you meet outsiders, you meet the pensioners, you know, our stakeholders and so forth, you basically have that, you know, the sense of that you are that teman, as I mentioned just now, kan, teman persaudaraan anda. So what does being a teman mean, right? It means having empathy, using the right tone, using all the right words, you know, and be very, I guess, friendly towards everyone and so forth. So these are basically the three DNA qualities that we uphold in Co-op, and these are the prerequisite actually, the requirements for whenever we look at talents, when we build our talent pipeline, regardless of position level, because we want to make sure that the right talents will get the right resources that we can offer. So besides making them feel as part of Co-op through this DNA, we dedicate our time listening to our employees' voices. Listening may sound like an easy task, but do we truly understand the concerns raised, for example? Do we really give new ideas a chance? So listening, I think, is the part that many leaders may have missed to do so. So every single employee of Co-op is given the opportunity and in fact encouraged to voice out any concerns, provide opinions or ideas to me and or senior management team members directly or anonymously through our feedback. I call it our feedback loop practice, where we gather information from employees at all levels during scheduled town halls that we have regularly, as well as I also have one-on-one personal engagement with a different department. So I have a notebook where I actually would write down their voices, you know, and refer to them from time to time to make sure that we address whatever concerns that the voices on the ground may have. So through this feedback, we then scrutinize and we analyze their concerns or their responses with our, you know, from our initiatives and so forth. And we deliberate in terms of the suitable action plans to address them. Some of the low-hanging fruits we can execute immediately, but some of the strategic ones we would deliberate quite a bit at the senior management level. So after that, we will then cascade down the information back to the employees via various platforms. So this applies on all matters that any employees of Co-op would like to highlight to the management. So through this feedback loop, which I think many organizations may not have this, there is an absence of this feedback loop. So for Co-op, we value it very much because we would also involve employees, everyone, in that decision-making processes, particularly if they affect the productivity of these employees, you know. So we also, over and above that, we also distribute survey forms to get further inputs on any issues that concern everyone. For instance, last year we did a survey on the to determine whether we should extend the hybrid working arrangement pilot run to this year. So as a result of that survey, hybrid working arrangement is still being in practice until to this day. So giving employees various platforms to voice their opinions, suggestions, and concerns, I think will provide them with a sense of autonomy and control over their work environment, which we believe will result in them being more engaged and satisfied with their jobs. So whilst I talk about listening being very important, so is transparency. And this is quite difficult to do. So whenever we relay information to employees, openness, between management and employees create that unifying relationship, right? And fosters trust. Trust is, I think, super important, not just between board and management, but also top management and everyone that are the arms and the legs and the feet of this organization who are actually doing the work on the ground. Yeah? So because this in return will make employees feel like they are part of something bigger. They have a sense of purpose. They're now more informed in terms of the whys and the hows behind the decisions that we've made. So this sharing of information is also particularly useful for everyone to know, and therefore appreciate what everyone else is doing. I don't believe in having any silos within a single organization. We are all here for with a common single objective of providing the best services to our ultimate stakeholders, the pensioners. Yeah? So we have two main objectives, basically. Our fiduciary duty is to grow the fund size sustainably and to ensure that pension payments are accurate and the process a smooth one. So as I mentioned earlier, Co-op's basically most valuable asset are our employees. The funds belong to the government. But for Co-op, as an organization, our asset are actually our employees. So therefore, apart from focusing on our financial investment activities, we also take pride in investing in our talents by providing them with opportunities to learn new skill sets and unlock their true potential. So we provide opportunities via upskilling program, regardless of job grade.
Sorry,
Yes.
Madam
Yes.
Nick, I think before you go further, I think
Okay.
if you go back to the culture, it's very interesting topic for us to actually further explore there. Because I think corporate culture is something that very important. The moment I engage with a number of companies to promote our students, of course, there are many companies, they're promoting their working culture. And culture is the fundamental to actually empower the organization. And so wonderful, despite corp is so popular as a financial related background, but the way how you show now, it seems a very humanistic approach, because I'm from psychology and counseling background. I do agree, and surprisingly, the first thing first is more about listening. There's so many psychological issues on motivation and whatnot, started with being validated. And here the word listening there, that caught my surprise there. And I actually wonder how actually, let's say the other organization, they want to benchmark, they want to start with this. How are you going to suggest how to start and how to sustain this kind of culture? That's number one. The second one, I wonder, in any organization, we're quite dynamic to have number of people from various ages. And worldwide, of course, we talk about the gap generation. Okay, globally, they address this issue between the young talent and the senior talent. So having this, how it solved the gap generation within crop. I think we can talk about this before we go to the group, if you don't mind, Madam.
Yes. Thank you very much, Isaiah, for the question. There are two parts of the question, right? The first one is basically, how do you start this kind of that listening kind of culture, right? That open feedback loop. That means that when listen is actually, you cannot just listen and without doing anything, right? You must kind of provide, what are you doing with whatever that you have taken in, right? I think it must start from the top number one. That's why the person sitting at in the chair at the helm must start that kind of the listening. So he or she would be the first one to open up their notebook and get the pen ready to take down the feedback, right, from the staff, no matter how difficult it is. Typically, the first time that the staff is given opportunity to offer their views, they get so afraid, right? And they say, Panik, please allow us to do this anonymously, right? So we allow that as well. So it's not, I don't think it's enough for us to say, no, you have to be, you have to put in your name. there are many others. There are some great ideas that come from this anonymous kind of feedback. To me, it doesn't matter who gives it. Is what matters is the content itself. So that's the first one. So set that kind of initiatives where you have that regular feedback kind of sessions lah. Number one, town halls is super important. I know many organizations do not have their top person go down and have town hall and share what the company is doing, because many, as the organization grow, right? Many do not know what others are doing. What is the status, how the organization is doing and all that. So the town hall must take place. Number two, perhaps
how frequent? How frequent the town hall, by the way?
When I first came back, it was monthly.
Monthly, wow.
When I first came back, okay? But after that, I hear them, because after that, the questions become less, a lot fewer. So we actually sent out a survey to ask them, how often do you think we should have the town hall? Now we have every quarter, actually, because of the feedback.
Exactly.
If they need more, we have more. That's the first one. Now, the second one, I think the senior management must go down to the ground and listen and provide that, bring it back up, whatever that they have on the ground. Kan?
Meaning to say what they taught, and from the top management first, show the good role model, then followed by the rest of the levels. All right, thank you.
Yes, definitely. So, now, to your second one, remind me, what was the second one?
Across organization, there's so many people thought about the gap generation.
Yeah.
Globally, some people do agree the gap happens. Some people they disagree.
Yeah.
But how your view and how this culture definitely solving issues?
Yeah. You know, one of my more memorable interviews that I've had was when I asked the question in terms of how HR can improve. HR as in HR industry can improve. This is a very general kind of big topic kind of question. And the answer was a one-worded answer. And that answer basically blew my mind and kind of made me lose sleep for the next 2 weeks, because trying to think about, okay, how should QUAP, apply this one-worded answer within the organization. You know what it is, Cik Saiful? Inclusivity.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the word.
When we talk about inclusivity, that means we must appreciate, we must celebrate diversity, because in reality, everyone is unique. Everyone brings to the table different experience that they've gone through, right? So the more diverse your team members, whether it's different generations, whether it's different background, different fields of studies, for example, they will bring with them, so the discussions will be a lot richer lah, when we deliberate on items and so forth. So inclusivity of the diversity in the team is super important. Maybe that's not reflected here, but that's what we celebrate as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. So no one left behind, and basically unity in diversity. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Meda, I need to stop you for a while because I saw somebody raise hand. I think Sister Shariza got a question. Feel free to raise hand, ask directly in this moment to take the opportunity to engage directly with our esteemed speaker, and the Nick Amlizan, the CEO of QUAP. And if you hesitate to open camera, ask straight away, you can always write down there at the chat box. Our crew member are actually assisting us. So go ahead, Sister Shalizat.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Mr. Saiful and Madam Nick. All right. I'm sorry I could not start my video. Actually, I am on my MC right now. All right. I'm actually interested on the town hall, the conduct of a town hall. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just for your information, we did. Actually, I'm from the Center for Foundation Studies of IIUM in Gambang. Okay. We did once a town hall in the campus, okay, for the rest of the staff, both academic and administrative and support staff. But I frankly speaking, yeah, madam, I don't feel satisfied with the town halls, with the session itself. You know why? Because um we 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 didn't expect. I mean, there is not much question, as you mentioned just now. Not much inquiry, as you mentioned just now, from the staff. So I would say that time staff might be macam a bit shy ke, ataupun macam nak nyorok-nyorok ke kan. So well, we did ask them, could just ask us anything you wanted to ask here, whatever that you have in mind, as long as it is in the apa namanya, in the frame of administration, in the frame of management, in the frame of the I mean the our job, yeah. Tapi tak ada, madam. So what I really wanted to know here is, how do you actually conduct an effective town hall? Because I always believe that town hall is actually a medium for us to talk to the staff. But now for this year, unfortunately lah, dah bulan Mei, tapi we still have not get apa namanya, a space yet for us to organize a town hall. But this time around, our planning is to have a different session, a different session for academic. Town hall lain, management will meet the academician, and the other session is for the administrative and technical staff. Cumanya, ma'am, as I always wondering, what is the best way and how to actually conduct the best session or an effective session of town hall, so that inshallah, because I always believe town hall is where we listen, they communicate, they talk, they deliver whatever that they have in mind. So wallahu alam, madam and Mr. Saiful, thank you.
Thank you, Sister Sharizat. Basically, she's our director, Jaga Gambang Campus Center Foundation Study. Wonderful. The question basically is very clear, madam. Having town hall is of course one thing, but how to get the very effective and full punya town hall. All respect to you to answer.
Thank you very much, Sharizat, for the question. That was a great question. I would recommend two things. The first one is to offer the different ways for staff to provide their inputs, because I think Asian culture kan, kita ni segan nak raise our hands and ask questions and be put in front of everyone, just in case nanti jawapannya kena balik kat kita, orang kata kan. Jadi for me, that's why it's very important for us to offer everyone different platforms, because not everyone would be comfortable to raise their hands and say out loud as Puan Sharizat just did, right? Many of us would want to type, and for some, or many of us, prefer not to have our name even being tagged there. So that's why I said we need to offer that anonymous kind of feedback route as well. Okay, so that's the first one. So it's not enough I think right now the fact that we can do hybrid, so maybe they can have that QR kind of code kind of part where they can provide feedback without having their names being put there together with their questions or their input. And the second way I would recommend, because as I mentioned to you, I do meet individuals individually at the departmental meeting and all that, and I actually would invite by name individual names, because I noticed that if you just open up, right, please, anyone have any question, it's always the same persons who raise their hands and say something. But I think there are a lot of great ideas or opinions that lie beneath the surface amongst the introverts, so to speak, So I actually would invite by names. Do you have anything you want to say? And sometimes I would insist that, maybe say something positive if you don't have anything negative to provide, because typically when I go and see individuals with my notebook, it's always about constructive criticism that I'm looking for. And do not be defensive. I think that's not the purpose. If the moment the ones who's doing the listening become defensive, the first time. The second time they will no longer ask that question because they say, what for, right? Because you're going to be all defensive about it. So I think it's just for us to listen and just absorb first and then provide the answers perhaps a bit later. So sometimes during town hall, if there are no questions, and I know there are a bit of kind of concerns that, you know, the team members may have in their mind, but they don't know how to say out loud. Sometimes the toughest things to say are the things that we need to say out loud. Okay, so whenever my team members have any issues that they cannot face directly, I would be the one doing that kind of discussion. Bring it up. Let's discuss this difficult kind of topic openly and find the solutions together. But I think the chairman of the meeting and so forth would need to moderate lah, yeah, to make sure that all views are taken equitably rather than having one view or another during that open session. It needs to be an open session. That would be my suggestions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Amlizan. Wonderful. Another interesting thing on this slide, if you remind about representing the brand of QAP and the DNA part. And we know, people know branding is super important. And you may invest your money just because of branding, of course, and you trust people because of the branding. And talking about the corporate branding, it's not easy. It's not easy. But how QAP managed to do that, to make sure that all the staff, all the members really representing the brand of the organization? Would you share the secret with all of us?
I'm not quite sure whether it's a secret, maybe it's an open secret. I think because since I mentioned just now kan, the tagline, teman besaran anda, so it's very important to have this the right representation of QAP, right? Nak jumpa orang tua yang dah pencen, kena ada a bit of humility, kena ada empathy, deep empathy, kena ada that caring factor where you can actually hold their hands, because that's all they need, right? Someone to touch them, someone to talk nicely, kindly to them, to ask how they're doing and all that. So to me, and not just that, when we go to the corporate events, the conferences, at the same time, daripada having that softness internally, you must also project the fact that you are the expert, the subject matter experts in the fields that you are in, right? So the ability for us to have the technical know-how, for us to basically speak well, tak malu, muka tebal sikit lah ya, tak segan when you put on stage, right, to represent QAP, to talk about QAP. At the same time, when you're faced with issues, right, of course there will always be issues in any organization. How do you deal with it? Do you deal with it with a sense of moving forward, or do you keep talking about what, you know, the issues of the past and so forth? So the intention when we talk about difficult topics, for example, we must make sure that we are able to basically hold the ground and have a sense of control over the topic that we want to discuss. So for your information, Saiful, actually QAP has been kind of below the radar lah. I think some of my board members sometimes would say, oh, QAP, you know, you need to do a lot more, you need to pukul canang and all that. So what happened was, some of my board members said, cukup, you know, QAP dah just nice, jangan pukul canang sangat. So we did a branding workshop last year, actually May 2022. We did a branding workshop. We called our board members, our investment panel members, senior management, as well as young talents, to be part of this workshop and to talk about it openly. Exactly what brand you want QAP to be. So from there, so we came up with our kind of that branding strategy lah. So amongst them, that's why we came up with the tagline, you know, that's how the tagline came about. That's how also we're going to do a lot more activities this year that would involve the pensioners. I give one example. We already started having jelajah, my pesara. We go around Malaysia lah, and meet our Kesatuan Pesara, meet all the pensioners, some of the pensioners, and assist them where they need assistance. We also have Carnival My Pesara that will take place. Please welcome, public are welcome to join our carnival. I think we're going to have Larian My Pesara. That larian is not really larian. You can also have a wheelathon kind of larian or walking stick kind of larian. Boleh kan? So there will be a lot more activities from Pesara perspective lah. And over and above that, I'm not quite sure, Cik Saiful, actually KUAP has always been actively involved in ESG matters, environmental, social and governance matters. We actually, in fact, we won an award a few years ago, to be the best institution as far as ESG and governance matters are concerned. We have gotten recognitions in the past as well on that. That is something that is very close to my heart, because I think we need to look at ESG not from the perspective of so-called corporate, but from the perspective of society. Because at the end of the day, KUAP is a government agency, government institution, .gov. And for us, we need to look at society as in the greater, for the greater good lah, so that's also part of the reason why we embark on that journey as well.
Thank you, Madam Lizan. I'm Lizan, I'm so sorry.
Call me Nick, Cik Saiful, senang sikit.
Nick. Nick, alright, Madam Nick. Nama wife saya tu sebenarnya. Alright, Madam Nick, thank you so much. We can see how far the commitment of the organization really focus on the branding, to the extent that you got a special workshop to really identify the unique selling proposition. What makes you special, stand out compared to some other investment institution or your competitors, and basically wonderful when you're able to mention several attributes that could really represent KUAP. Definitely wonderful. All right, so maybe we can go to the growth that you talked just now. Yeah, with all respect, Madam Nick, could you present more about the growth opportunity and this KUAP organization? Go ahead.
Thank you, Cik Saiful. So as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the opportunities that we offer, includes upskilling, upskilling regardless of job grade. So we have this, we call it upskilling program, that we aim to develop or establish a robust development journey for our employees. We also have learning milestones, and then we provide career progression opportunities to our non-executives and executive level employees of KUAP. So we offer them basically alternative higher education programs. This is actually a university recognized pathway. So for this program that we have currently, we are working with and collaborating with UTM Azman Hashim International Business School, where we offer paper qualifications for our non-executives and associates alike. So those who enroll in this program, so they're going to take the MQA accredited modules that are part of an actual MBA program. So where credits are transferable for the participants should they want to pursue a full MBA. So this program offers flexibility to our employees who wish to deepen their technical knowledge, but perhaps are still deciding in terms of whether they want to pursue full MBA. So just to share, today we have a total of 16 active participants in this program, and 4 of them at associate level and 12 non-executives. So 15 of our team members who are non-executives have actually graduated last year, some with flying colours. And just to share, the best student turned out to be of my age. So who says that learning should stop when you are approaching the golden age of 60, right? So we also provide employees with learning opportunities through our KUAP Education Assistance Scheme, where anyone can enroll to expand their technical skills and qualification, ranging from professional programs such as CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, CRMA, which is for the risk management side, PKMC for the fixed income side, ACCA for the accountants, and to tertiary programs such as diploma, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and also PhD. So under this program, employees are reimbursed for tuition fees and study materials, and also we accord them study leave as well. So just to share, in 2021, 17 employees have completed their studies under this scheme. In last year, in 2022, 8 employees completed their studies. So we produced 3 chartered financial analysts, CFA holders, 2 certified internal auditors, 1 degree holder in business administration, and 2 master's degree. So to date, 45 employees out of our 700 plus employees of Co-op are actively pursuing their education, further education under this scheme. 11 are pursuing professional certification, 18 tertiary level education, and 16 upskilling. So as a result of this effort, actually, we have been recognized as one of the CFA Society Malaysia employer partners under the Employee Recognition Program by the CFA Institute in May of last year. This is to recognize in recognition of our dedication in nurturing employees' professional journeys in pursuit of CFA qualification. So I've been informed that we will be getting the same recognition sometime this month as well. I think either this weekend or next weekend we're getting the award.
Congrats in advance.
Thank you. So we look forward to it. So in addition to that news, we are also over the moon, of course, to learn that 2 of our employees who participated in our ES program have had recently obtained the CFA Charter Award for successfully completing all the 3 levels of CFA program. So this is one of the highest recognized distinctions in the investment management profession. It's a very difficult achievement to get because it requires you to sit for 3 different exams and you have to really study cover to cover again. So another Co-op HR innovation that also took place when the pandemic hit us in 2020. So we launched learning management system, or we call it LMS internally. This is an online learning portal for our employees to complement conventional training, which promotes flexible learning. So this is part of our commitment, of course, to provide that basically ongoing support, particularly during COVID, where we can't really give them training physically. So we allow them to have their own and design their own programs of learning online. So they can basically attend their training from anywhere.
So basically this one, the company put a commitment to subscribe to the valuable platforms such Coursera, Udemy, things like that.
Yes. So
it still happen until today.
It's still on until today.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So this platform offers 40,000 courses, right? So there is no reason for employees to say, hey, you don't have courses that I like. So I mean, they need to go find the courses that they want to. So their learning path, they have to develop themselves. So this is the empowerment, another empowerment that we let the staff take on their own.
All right. Cool.
So they can go to Pulau Redang somewhere, at the beach, and go attend clock in their training hours as well, actually.
Yeah, there's not much easier. Self-learning, do anywhere, anytime. And of course, you have got exam, right? For certification.
Yes. So we allow that. I think we need to change the way we do things, like how do we develop talents and all that, kan?
Yeah.
Another innovation that we had, we call it LEAP. LEAP stands for Learning, Engagement and Advisory Programs. So for this program, we leverage on our partners, industry partners, for value added and knowledge transfer for the benefit of people. So this program started in 2020, obviously during the pandemic. So it offers bespoke investment related modules and trainings conducted by industry experts. And in this kind of setting that casual, easy manner to ease that technical learning process of our both investment and non-investment staff can attend if they wish to gain more knowledge. So at least they would have that basic fundamental knowledge of investment and also an understanding of what is happening in the industry. And last but not least, of course, the most sought after program that we have, we call it, as you mentioned just now, Saiful, that management trainee. We don't call it management trainee, we call it Young Talent Program, or KYT. The KYT is supposed to produce the future CEOs. Okay, that is the intention. So it is a 2-year training and development program for high achieving new graduates. So under this program, we provide our team members, the KYTs, with extensive training program. So to basically better prepare them for the workplace and then fast track in terms of their career progression. So when we select the talents for this KYT, we recruit more on potential rather than solely on the tertiary education. So we welcome graduates from various fields of study, so not necessarily from finance, investment or business fields. So we value that kind of the differences, as I mentioned just now, inclusivity in terms of the thinking pattern, in terms of personality traits, right, brought by these young talents. In fact, just to share with you, Saiful, Chief Investment Officer is actually an electrical engineer. From Oxford University. So he instead has decided to follow his passion and opted to basically pursue investment instead. So we truly have a diverse background in terms of our talents, ranging from engineers, sociologists to psychologists as well. So just to share on the KYT, we started it back in 2014. So we have a total now, dah 8 batches. So altogether, we have nurtured more than 130 fresh graduates through this program. And we have several alumni, KYT alumni, who have raised through the ranks, and now they have AVP, Assistant Vice President role. And they have also been invited, which we strongly encourage, to be speakers and panelists at different events. So they have done Bloomberg Data Science Quant event, they have participated in ASEAN Foundation's Town Hall, conferences at career fairs, as well as digital enablement sessions at local universities. So if you have them, please let us know. We can provide such talents to speak at your events as well.
Right. This sounds very amazing part, because I do understand many companies really put a lot of efforts for this management training program, particularly this program, different names lah. Basically, the names most, the concept is almost the same. They're hiring cream among the cream, and I'm fully aware the process is not easy. For some companies, even 7 levels of assessment. Definitely, some company they're looking for the pointer, and then within the 2 years, ada job rotation here and there, ada mentor. And what makes KYT ini different from the other organization punya management training program?
I would say the main differentiating factor is that we allow these talents to decide themselves where they want. Typically, when you talk about management training, typically organization would say, this is the best route for you, so you'll be here, kind of thing, we allow, you rightly mentioned just now, I'm glad you touched on that, job rotation, right? So for us, talent mobility is, we must embrace that, okay? There are some talents, great talents, perhaps they hit they have hit that ceiling for them, as far as their interest is concerned, where they want to experience new things, when they're young, right? I started out doing accounting work, and that I knew then that it was not my calling, so I have switched towards the investment field and have never looked back since, right? So Alhamdulillah. So I think that is important for us to offer. And over and above that, we also offer secondments. Secondments not only involve movement of our employees to, for example, we have a London office called Prima Equity UK Limited. So many of our talents are seconded there, some short-term, 6 months, some a bit more long-term for 4 years. We also offer secondment to other Malaysian government agencies and also strategic partner, other organizations. So I think this movement will allow the employees and this talent to basically explore, okay? Because when you're young, you're still at that exploration stage, right? So you need to know what you're passionate about, what would you what you enjoy to be doing for the next, few decades, right? And loving every second of it. So that is super important for us, lah. I think before they even, they're also allowed to be permanently transferred as well, if that is their preference. I think, for example, we have one fund manager from the investment field. Actually, we basically requested for transfer. So now they are actually providing services for the pensioners under our pension services department. So I think for us, what's more important, I think the other aspect that we have to take into consideration is, of course, succession planning, right?
Yeah.
Because when we develop leaders, they, for those who are hungry, right, they may want to move because they want to experience new things. They want to make sure that their experience is comprehensive and all that. So we must make sure that even as these talents move around, hopefully in Malaysia, we have lost one talent to Netherlands, for example, recently. We must make sure that we continue to basically have that succession planning and the talent pool, make sure that we have no issue should any talent decide to leave. Yeah. So for the talent pool, we basically identify and nominate. Actually, HODs would typically nominate, and some would be nominated by HR, or some would be nominated by the top management. We keep it quite open to be added to our talent pool. This followed, there's like quite stringent evaluation process that they have to undergo. They have to undergo psychometric test, you will understand that.
Yeah.
Leadership potential index, cognitive ability test. I'm not sure if I take those tests whether I myself would pass, right? And decision making. So I think this process is imperative for us to assess and to make sure that we have the right talent, because we are grooming the talents of that would determine Co-op's future again. Just to share, actually, many of Co-op's current HODs actually came from the talent pool of Co-op itself. In fact, I am an example of that Co-op talent pool who rose through the ranks, lah. Yeah. So in essence, we basically embrace that kind of mindset that everyone has the capacity for growth as long as they put their hearts and minds into it. And this is very crucial. Another part, I always talk about this. I call it discretionary effort. I think that is that differentiation, which is actually super crucial for progress of any organization. So staff, they themselves willingly put in their own discretionary effort to meet the expectation of the organization and beyond. Yeah. And I think seeing talents grow, of course, is one of the most fulfilling parts of my career journey. I am a happy camper if I see former Co-op employees soaring high in their career progressions, not just within Co-op, but also outside of Co-op.
Yeah. All right, lovely organization, by the way, and I'm pretty sure perhaps most of the employees really loyal to the organization. All right, so madam, I need to stop you because there are, I think, two questions. One being written at the chat box again by Sister Sharizat, and Madam Azlina raised hand. Perhaps we give way to Madam Sharizat first. The concern here, speaking about the talent mobility, how far you handle different schemes, different positions. Because there are so many positions, right? So how you manage that?
The different positions, it depends on the outgoing, and the incoming, the one who's going to accept these talents, right? So we allow, if it makes sense, it doesn't matter whichever level that they're at. If it makes sense for the growth, the career path of these individuals. I give you an example. If it's from that senior VP level, senior vice president level, or even perhaps even HOD level for that matter, if it would enrich their so-called CV, so to speak, so that they will one day become the C-suite, we will make it happen.
All right.
It's at the highest level. And at the lowest level, of course, they want, if they're still exploring, I think we have to allow that. if they're passionate, what we want is to bring out that passion within every individual to make sure that, you know, when they come to the office, is they bring the sunshine to the office rather than the dark cloud, right? You know, walking into the office and say, oh, what am I going to be doing today? You know, I don't enjoy this. I think that should not be, you know,
An issue.
we should encourage people to basically enjoy whenever they step into the office.
Basically, no limitation, no hurdle, as long as the staff prove that they are becoming an asset, they're passionate to grow.
Yeah, Cik Zaful. In fact,
Yeah.
I was being rotated to LT80, right?
Yeah.
Before coming back to Quad, right? So
Yeah. Wonderful. All right. Madam Mazlina, are you there? I saw you raise your hand. Okay. With all respect.
Assalamualaikum, Madam Nick. I'm Azlina from the Center of Languages. Actually, my first question is almost similar to Puan Sharizat regarding how you manage a different scheme of service, yeah? And when you talk about career development, because some scheme in our institution are closed scheme, we would call. Yeah, bila closed scheme, their career path, I would say, limited within, yeah? It may kills the, I will say, the motivation. Daripada nak jadi sunshine datang ke office tu, bila kita sudah lama and then tak nampak career path, dah jumpa dinding tu, dia akan jadi cloud. Yeah, how do you manage that for the closed scheme? My second question, you talk about the staff mobility. Do you think, what do you think is the best period for one officer, one staff to be located or assigned to? Meaning some say 3 years is enough for them to jump to another department, yeah, gaining another experience. But sometimes you look at the whole process. I think personally, I think 3 years is very raw. I would say raw, especially when you are holding a senior position, yeah. So based on your experience at Co-op and other agencies, what do you think the best time frame for an officer to mature? Ya, ni jenis nak well done. Tak mau hangus juga kalau lama satu tempat hangus, ya. And then the third question, when we talk about staff knowing their interests, yeah, when management will put them based on what management think the staff is good in, right? It is something like putting the right people at the right place. But sometimes the staff think that their patient is a different way. So di situ tak ada equilibrium, yeah, between the demand and supply tu, bahasa ekonomi lah, no equilibrium. Yeah, so how do you manage, based on your experience, how do you manage expectation from the management on talent, talent, and also the expectation from the employee? Ya, kadang-kadang employee ni syok sendiri juga, rasa bagus di situ, tapi mungkin manajemen melihat dari perspektif yang berbeza, ya. So Madam Nick, can you please share with us the experience from Co-op or your experience in the past? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Azlina. 3 questions basically from her. She's the Deputy Director Center Language. I think it's clear, Madam Nick, or you need me to recap? The first is all about macam mana nak mengatasi kemendungan ni. Some staff dia dah nampak macam very limited career growth, basically no longer sunshine lah. So Madam Azlina focus on certain closed scheme lah, basically. The second one is more about how long the duration that you see appropriate, and of course finally the third one, managing expectation between top and the employee. Kadang-kadang CEO ni orang tengah juga kan, kena push atas, bawah pun push dia. How you manage that?
Okay, thank you. Great questions. So on the first one, any organization would face that kind of issue lah, yeah, in terms of that kind of within your job scope is kind of limited. So what else? You know, that's why we do have that rotation and so forth. But I think more importantly, what I realize is what's important when we look at specific job function. You know, what we want to do is actually expand the scope of that job function. I don't think sometimes even for me personally throughout my career, I actually even at BBM Unit Trust, I was the investment officer. I helped set up the research unit within the organization as an investment officer, because there was none, and I thought that was super important for us to have. So finding your own initiative that can assist the organization to grow. It may not be within your scope actually. When you given your job, it didn't have that neatly set up. I was just a junior officer, right? Investment officer, just, you know, a newbie, so to speak, on the new kid on block. So it didn't have that job D, right? But guess what I did? That's exactly what I did actually. So set up the research team, actually hired people. And when I was investment officer, I actually hired an assistant manager, interviewed and hired and trained assistant manager at that time. So I think find your own initiatives, that's super important. So that means that if this is your BAU, is you think is limited, I think you need to have that specific projects on the side as well that will kind of drive that, you know, that would also enrich and provide that drive for growth for individuals. This is actually if you are limited in terms of your scope. Tapi jangan berkira lah kan, because during that progress, you will be learning as well. And that would put more value to enrich your experience. So number 2, from this limited career growth plan, QUAP actually last year, in August last year, our Yang Berhormat Minister of Finance launched our restructuring program. It's called Trust 5. So this Trust 5 is actually about building putting in place the right enablers lah for QUAP to achieve our vision in the future, for QUAP to grow even stronger going forward, for QUAP to be more sustainable going forward. So via this restructuring of the whole organization, actually we are creating more values to the posts, to the positions. And we can actually offer we have the ability to offer our team members different growth paths, but still within the scope of their expertise. I give one example under this Trust 5. We call it Trust 5 program. Trust means the core, so it's actually very much enablers like it. We set up, for example, digital division. It used to be IT department saja though. So now we have digital divisions which consist of different departments, different functions and so forth. So the staff within that one department can now head the different units within that whole division, you know. So that is one example how we basically enrich within the same organization. We enrich positions that we can offer our team members, so they can see that growth path is a lot more much larger compared to what they had in mind earlier. So that's the other one. Now, how long duration of I don't know, for QUAP we have 2 years. We have basically in terms of the process itself, it must start when they have spent about 6 months to give it a better chance. So I know you mentioned that maybe, you know, they don't really experience, maybe still a bit raw, but I think if I actually strongly believe in basically individual empowerment lah. So what QUAP have right now, so up to 6 months for development, expansion of knowledge and gain skills, basically to contribute to original position, for example, and up to 2 years for us to assess the job matching, for example, career rejuvenation, and perhaps also if they wish to transition. So actually ours is a lot even shorter lah, Puan Mazlina, or not even 3 years, it's actually 2 years. Because let me tell you, Puan Mazlina, there was one occasion, I sempat I sempat 2 tahun saya kerja dekat San Francisco, and I decided that accounting line is not for me, for example. And but the moment I masuk investment, Puan Mazlina, I tell you, I always tell people here, it's my hobby basically. My work is my hobby. I would do it anyways, even if I don't get paid. Just absolutely love what I do. So I think to allow staff to do what they love to do is super important. But coming to the third one, yesterday I actually had one discussion with one of my team members. Dia nak pindah, dia nak rotate, okay? So I'm like, she's already a subject matter expert on one function within co-op, but she wants to do something completely different, right? So I asked, but then this requires one to really know one staff lah. But I've worked with her since 2000, that time 2008, I think. So I know her quite well, and she knows me quite well. So when we discussed about it, we actually managed to get to the root of why she wanted to rotate, you know. So she said, okay, she will think about it now. Now she no longer have that, I must rotate. Now she said, okay, I'll give it me. So we have to discuss about what is the plan of the future. She has to think about it, whether she's willing to forego her expertise, right? She's going to end up being the most junior for this new area, right? Whether that's exactly what she wishes to do. And I asked her to think a bit long term lah. So yes, Pak Mazlina, I think we have to have that honest one-on-one discussion lah with our team members. I think that is super important lah.
Okay, thank you, Madam Nick. So it comes back to what you said earlier. It's more about listening first, all right? Get the perspective, get to know what seems to be the root cause, and then, of course, up the way, and we find what seems to be the possible solution, and alhamdulillah, the issue managed well. Okay, so I think you got the next slide for the career growth.
Yeah. This is not so much a career growth, because whilst we encourage talents to soar high and so forth, we must never forget to support those who perhaps need the support the most, right?
Yeah.
Since we care deeply about the mental health of our employees, particularly after COVID, after the lockdown too. So I believe that for us to be truly sustainable in our operations, our team members who are facing personal challenges in managing their mental state must be taken care of as well. So they are still a crucial part of our team who had assisted in our journey so far. Okay? So with this, we have a program called MET Wellness Program. So basically, it serves as a safe outlet for all of our employees if they require professional help to talk about any issues that they wish, any issues that they face, and they can express their emotions privately. For this program, for your information, it's a private one actually for them. So we basically allow them to take on it on their own, and it will not be seen to be a negative thing for co-op, for this staff who actually would take up on this program. We also conduct various virtual and physical engagements, obviously, that's designed for our employees. So we have the typical ones like the team building, team mingling, fitness programs, and talks on various topics, etc. And I think I also mentioned earlier, so we are still in the pilot run of our, for example, hybrid working arrangement, right? Where staff can work not just from home, but also from anywhere. So what we have is actually a WFA, for 2 days in a week. So, and they get to pick whether they want to work from home or work from anywhere on a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. So no one's allowed to take, like, for example, Monday and Friday, right? So since the millennials and Gen Zs are becoming more significant part of our own workforce, so we, myself included, particularly Gen Xers, I call them, we need a paradigm shift in terms of our thinking about culture of work. So I think we must understand what motivates the younger generations who just faced a life-changing challenge, right? When the world actually stood still for more than 2 years. So it was unheard of. It was unthinkable, actually. Okay? So we have to offer new types of employee empowerment, such as this kind of work from anywhere kind of flexibility. So in fact, during the interviews that we have had of recent months or years, one of the more commonly asked questions is actually in terms of the work arrangement that we have. So I think for us, we must embrace this new workplace culture and behavior lah. And we need to basically reinvent the way that we work. I think one other special thing that we just actually got approved, I think at the end of last year, we actually have a career break program. So we allow staff to take sabbatical, whether it's for family reasons, whether it's for further studies, or whether it's for personal reasons, you know. This actually basically would allow them to think that co-op does care, you know. So if those who need a break, so we allow it. They will not lose their seniority just because they take the break. Yeah. But I think there's a maximum of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years. Yeah. For
2
right.
years. 2 years,
Yes.
even longer. Long
Up to
period.
2 years. Without losing their seniority. Okay.
Without losing, eh?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. So so this flexibility ni, I think it depends on the feedback that we receive from our team members. So if they like it, we will keep it. If they don't, then we will forgo whatever, you know, programs that we have introduced. And just to share, I'm very happy. I'm sure you know part of it. As a result of our efforts to basically make sure that our employees have the best experience in the office, we have received recognition, 2 HR awards in 2022. So we have gotten awards for, I think, several categories in HR Excellence Awards 2022. So we received a bronze award for the categories. There are 3 categories that we received. The first one is excellence in workforce mobility. So basically this job rotation, hybrid work arrangement, it's a common as I mentioned earlier. So because of that, we received the award. Number 2, HR Leader of the Year, in recognition of COP's very own HR Director, Head of HR, Puan Siti Ilmia Ramli, for her excellent leadership. And last but not least, the third one is Most People Focused CEO. I think this recognition is basically, I consider as an overall COP's achievement. So after that, we also received from Malaysian Institute of Human Resource Management, their Malaysia 22nd, I think, Malaysia International HR Awards 2022. We were presented with the Silver Award for the Employer of Choice in the public sector category, as well as we got the Gold Award for our HR team member, our own co-op young talent, KYT alumni, Puan Siti Sabaria Ahmad Murtaza. She won the Gold Award for the young HR talent category. Yeah? And she's right now Assistant Vice President. She holds that position within
Wow,
COP.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
Well, such a remarkable recognition, awards, and achievement by the COP. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
And I think the award really reflect the way you taught, the way you explained to us the culture here. Most people focus CEO. Wonderful.
It's the teams. I think HR team members did a lot of work.
I'm even surprised the corporate company like COP having a certified counselor. That shows how you really focus and concerned about the well-being of the staff. Okay, and that give me some of the idea. Boleh ke kalau kita nak staff kita buat secondment dekat COP?
Boleh je. InsyaAllah boleh je. Kami we're more than happy to welcome.
All right, thank you for the offer. All right, so there's one question at the check box from Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli. 2 questions by the way. So the first question here, how COP handle non-performing staff? All right, so that's the first. The second, hybrid or work from home, new work culture. Does company need the staff? To show redundancy. Macam mana nak baca dia punya ni? Hybrid or work from home, new work culture. Do company need the staff? To show redundancy, new culture. Yeah. What Medan pun boleh buka sendiri. Saya pun tak takut saya salah menerangkan.
For question 2, it's about there are study in America saying that if let's say they allow you to work from home, means that the company have redundancy. One, so that means you are actually they can actually release you anytime. One. Second thing is that whether the company needs to have a full-time staff or just 2 days, means that the company may have more people, more hybrid, but then it's going to save the company. That is another thing. That is going to be a new culture for the company approach. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Rupanya Prof. Hafiz yang bertanya. Our Deputy Director, one of the top management, UMC members. So easier explanation from the Prof. Hafiz. So please, with all the pleasure, Madam Nick to answer.
Thank you, Prof. Hafiz. I hope I will do your questions justice. To the first one, I think as typical of any organization in terms of the non-performing staff, we do have the, what do you call that? Performance, we call it consequence management process, which we actually would include them. It depends on what the issues are, right? Some issues, if disciplinary, they would go through that disciplinary kind of process, which we have in place already. But generally, when it comes to performance, so we would put them under, for example, individual, we call it IDP, individual development plan. So we will monitor over the 6 months with, of course, monthly review and see the progress. Okay. So that is the way that we do it. There have been, and of course, in terms of our reward system, memang we make it quite clear between the performance and the non-performance So if the easy thing is when before they get confirmed as permanent employees, we can actually let them go, and we've done so. But if they are already permanent employees, we will spend time for the IDP, and actually for some of them, we have done before is actually rotate, where from non-performance, there was, for example, one of the staff that I've had in the past when I was the head of equity, I was informed that this person was got attitude problem actually. So she became one of the non-performers. I said, okay, I need the resource. Since I cannot hire outside, so maybe you can transfer to my department. And guess what, Prof? She became one of the best performers because she was happy. She was happy doing it. She felt like she was learning, and subsequently she pursued her degree, etc. And she's now trying to decide whether she wants to pursue her PhD, for example. So I think we have to put the right persons in the right place. If they love what they do, I tell you, I think you get superb kind of performance back. But you have to trust that they have the best interest of corp at heart. But if they don't, then it becomes truly an issue of that. So they have to go through that disciplinary kind of process if that is the issue. Now, number 2, in terms of work from home and if we basically it is, how do you say this? In the beginning, that was the question that we had in mind. If we allow them to work from home, how do we ensure that they are productive? So in this instance, we actually empower not just any talents in co-op, everyone in co-op, but also HODs, heads of departments. Heads of departments need to make sure that they have the people who will help the department achieve their KPIs, right? HODs would know the ones who will be able to assist the department, who are instrumental in getting the results to be up. If the person is not contributing, HOD should not want to keep this person, right? Because it's an excess resource, right? So the KPIs need to be designed in a way that the productivity will be obvious from there. So, and it is up to HODs to decide who the staff, whether the staff are performing or not. If there are such things as, for example, redundancy, because, for example, a lot of work, I give one example, the investment team members need not be physically in the office to do their work. If we do, for example, research work, you can do it anywhere. Anywhere you can do research work. My work doesn't stop when the clock reaches 5:30 p.m., for example. It may not even stop at 10:30 p.m. for that matter, right? If it needs to be done, it needs to be done, right? But so we actually empower our HODs, we empower the senior ones to make sure that the team members actually contribute to the team. And we trust them to make that decision. So if the HODs decide that this staff must come to the office, so be it. So there are certain functions within co-op that requires staff to be in the office because that's a function. I think, for example, customer service and all that, right? That is the function. But when it comes to specific other functions where you do a bit more research, or you can do even transaction, we allow them, for example, to have Bloomberg anywhere. That means they can do trading. They can actually invest from wherever they are, right? And having that portfolio. Prof, I don't know whether you know, because our exposure for investments is globally. So when US market opens or Europe market opens, it's night time here. So some of our staff actually work at night from their respective homes, because obviously we don't open the office at night lah, kan? So we must allow that flexibility to our staff. And we must trust that this staff have the values, the right values. If you have that, then you know that they will be professional in executing their functions. I think that trust is super important. They trust that management will take care of them, and we trust that they will do what they're supposed to do. Because if they don't perform, Prof, in investment, if you don't perform, it will be very obvious you're not bringing in the numbers, right? So I think for us, it's a bit easier lah, in that from that perspective, to see whether they're productive or not, wherever they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Nick, for answering the question from the Prof Hafiz. And again, sorry, Prof Hafiz, for not recognizing you dekat checkboard tadi. Allah. All right, Madam Nick, there's one more question with regard to non-performance juga from our director, the CFS, Madam Sharizat again. I realized the issue of non-performing relate to the appraisal system. More about the appraisal system and how you take an appraisal system into reality. Ini mencabar juga soalan ni sebenarnya. Saya kira kita pun nak belajar dengan KUAP how, the system really help us, how practical it is and how it solve issues. Go ahead.
So the departmental KPIs for each year too, it belongs to the heads of the departments lah. So we typically allow the heads of departments, empower, as I mentioned earlier, right? The ability for them to recognize who among their team members who are performing or not performing. Over and above that, say assuming lah ya, HOD ni baik sangat, Cik Saiful, semuanya 5 star, perfect, walk on water, maksud, when it comes to their work, right? So macam mana nak reward the performing and the non-performers? So you know what we have done, Cik Saiful? Yeah. We asked the HOD to rank.
Okay.
Rank. Because the one who received 5 at the top is not the same as the one who received 5 at the bottom.
Right.
Maybe in terms of the work that they contribute is there, but the contribution value may not be as high. Okay, for the ones for that year, for example. Over and above that, typically the top ones would be also recognized as perhaps a talent pool, for co-op. So they do another, they go through a different set of session in terms of to recognize whether they are truly talent pool. So we know lah, some HODs, whether when they nominate a name, whether or not, the name is of quality or not lah. And the team members here, whenever we go for upgrading or even promotion and all that, they not only get it's not only based on HOD's recommendation, but also they have to go through what you just heard, right, psychometric tests and all that.
Okay.
And also interviewed by the other HODs and other senior management team members. So because they must also be recognized by others, not just within the team members, but also outside as the future leader of co-op. So I think that is the other aspect that we put on it lah.
All right. So not relying on a single assessment only.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So in a case, for example, the staff not really satisfied with what been given by the head of department, and always have a mechanism to channel the concerns. Yes,
the door is always open. It can be HR, it can be even myself. My door is always open.
Oh, direct to you. Wow.
Yeah. Actually, for information, I wanted to share a bit later. Sometimes I would have one-on-one breakfast. I'm a morning person, so sometimes 7:30 I will have breakfast with one of the team members who wish to to tell me that, for example, I had one who said that they feel like they're kind of stuck. They want they should be given more opportunities. They don't understand why they're stuck. And then, okay, we said, we open up door for you to go through the assessment and so forth. But guess what? He didn't pass. You know, so if they don't pass, they don't pass, right? So the assessment is quite independent and quite fair. So we take all kind of feedback. So, you know, but that kind of feedback has to be sent back to the person, so to see whether the person has to take that next step to do better. So I think the 360 that we've had in the past, for example, there was one time that we wanted to hear from the staff if they're happy with the leadership within the team and all that. So we did 360 on the, I think, the vice presidents and above. So, and then we give that feedback back. These are individual voices, yeah, anonymously give it back to the VPs and above in terms of what their team members are thinking. And we actually would discuss about it openly. And they can also tell me directly as well, if they wish, about me, how they think I should improve as well.
All right, thank you, Madam. There's one more concern here from one of our director, Madam Zuraida Hassan. Please go ahead, Madam Zuraida Hassan, to speak your mind.
Okay, Salam, Madam Nick. So my question actually relate to talent management in terms of like we have people towards retiring, for example, 2 years on 1 year. How does Co-op actually help them to really boost their motivation to still stay, you know, towards the end pun masih good in service?
In fact, one of our senior members lah, yeah, I'm one of them as well. One of the other senior members who've been with us for a long time. We actually, because they have a lot of experience, right, about building Co-op in the past. So when we did the Trust Lima, there was one area where he actually was the perfect fit for that new role actually. So we asked this person to basically help out, to look at the design, whether they can design, whether it's something that they can assist. So started out that this person, basically HOD now, to look at it and design the department in terms of the processes, in terms of the structure and so forth. And this position was offered to this person. So he became a lot more kind of macam encouraged, a lot more macam excited about, you know, helping to set up something new, for example, for Co-op. So that is one of the ways, because sayang, these are the guys with that very wholesome experience, and also the best person to develop talents, the younger ones within Co-op. And I think for HR, for example, the HR department itself, so we had one, for example, vice president retiring in 2 years. So we rotate him to another portfolio to provide that new excitement, new growth opportunities, and provide that rejuvenation to his career, and of course contribution as well in his last years. I think we have to really find ways to appreciate our talents, to allow them to continue to be excited about coming to work, even during the last few days of their time here. So he stayed until the end. He just retired recently, actually.
Thank you, Madam. Very interesting. Okay.
All right, thank you, Madam Nick, for answering. Of course, thank you, Madam Zuraida, for asking the question. I think we have a few more slides to go to the very critical and important part. It's more about leadership. Yeah, please go ahead, Madam Nick.
Okay, thank you, Cik Saiful. Thank you for the time. So on one hand, we talk about empowerment of talents to ensure that the organization has the solid foundation. I think you mentioned earlier about the mentorship, in terms of the effective guidance, to also play a role and to make sure that Co-op will progress positively, sustainably. So I did mention as well just now about the 360 leadership evaluation. I've went through this throughout my career journey and all that, and I truly value this 360 because I think it would help us, because some of us, I think that is one of the challenges of leadership, because particularly the ones, there was one time that my ex-CEO of, not when I was with Co-op, but another organization, told me that to not be too close with my team members because he was afraid that I may be too close, and therefore it will be difficult for me to control, basically to guide my team and all that. But I actually told him that while he's still my mentor, but I actually disagree, because I think the old ways of managing your team members is already different. I think nowadays, talents or for organizations to grow, we have to basically, the leaders need to know that they themselves need to also grow. They themselves need to be open to different ways of doing things, because the world of the past is actually very different from the world of the future. We were not born, the leaders currently, the Gen Xers, we were not born in the digital world, but the younger ones, to them, they are basically digital native already. Okay, so we have to kind of basically be a bit more open in terms of building, have that solid and very crystal clear reason why we are all on this journey together. So I think we have to have great leaders who are passionate in guiding their team members. They must love to see progress amongst the team members, and also to inspire the team members to basically achieve more than what they think is possible. Some of them are just merely not having that confidence, and also to reach their full potential. So we did that. I mentioned that 360 degrees. We did this in 2021 for the section heads, the VPs and above. So this outcome basically highlight not just areas of weaknesses, but also areas of strength that the team members would need to basically develop even further. I'm actually a strong believer for us not to focus on the weaknesses. Actually, I think we need to focus on our strength. The weaknesses, we must surround ourselves with the ones who offer strength where we have weaknesses in. So that's why we need a team. I think alone you cannot achieve much. I think together, a lot more input, we can achieve far greater than what is possible. So each leadership position that I've had in the past actually offers me kind of a unique collection of experiences that I think one would need to tailor-make to fit those requirements. I give one example. When I was head of equity department in Co-op, it was initially because it was basically a blank canvas, that I need to put colors on. So at that point of time, it was very much instruction-based first, due to the emphasis stage of this newly minted department, to make sure that the department's deliverables were on track. Because even the first year that I joined, Nick, we must, your departments must hold, I remember my boss, my first boss, CEO of Co-op at that point of time, told me, Nick, our bonus is on your shoulders, how much we make and all that is on you. So make sure that you get it. So even when we didn't have, the necessary, perhaps the guidelines yet in place, we already have to meet we already have expectation in terms of and targets for us to achieve. So in order to do that, it was quite a bit more okay, you do this, you do that, and this is what we need to do, quite a kind of detailed plan and so forth, to make sure that we are in line with the organization's core goals at that point of time. But when I moved on to the C-suite, actually my priorities began to shift, to be a bit more strategic and to be very long-term. That would involve talent development and talent empowerment that would put Co-op on the right path of growth sustainability. So I think being a better leader is a continuous process that I think I personally strive to achieve. I think in building a great team, being surrounded by great talents who will in turn build this next pipeline of great talents of the future, I think it does require conscious efforts in having, I mentioned earlier, diversity and inclusivity. in thoughts and experience. So I value learnings from my own team members. So I think if one is given the opportunity to lead a team, be a leader with a compelling vision, who motivates and who inspires, but at the same time empathize with the varied sensitivities of the team members. I give another example. If your team member at that point of time have to go home, for example, because your child is sick, please allow that. Because what Malaysia needs is a civil society, kan, masyarakat madani, kan, that we need a healthy society. Healthy society needs healthy parents who can guide their own children to be the future society for the greater good of Malaysia. So I think gone are the days where leaders of organization keep that a distance from regular employees. I mean, gone are the days that leaders are expected to know all and solve all problems on their own. I think gone are the days that people should just follow whatever that is instructed by one person. I think during these days, when innovations are celebrated, when paths that are less traveled become value propositions for organizations to offer their talents, I think feedbacks and suggestions from all are openly discussed for much clearer next course of actions and steps. So I think to achieve what I just shared, I must, again, coming back to listen to my team members and do my best to see from their perspective and take their views into consideration to strengthen the organization. So I do try, as I mentioned, to personally meet all of them in different departments and take down notes, of their valuable inputs and constructive comments and feedbacks. And also for those who wish to have kind of personal advice on their own career path, I can also have a breakfast session with me personally. Again, I'm an avid believer that if you love your job, you will make the best out of it. You will be your own benchmark to beat. There's no one else who can do the job better than you can, and you can always do better. I think that will definitely put you, in a different path, so to speak. I've always loved what I do. I'm always excited about coming to work physically. So I come to the office every day, even though I know we offer 2 days a week at home, work from anywhere. But there have been times that I feel overwhelmed by perhaps other aspect of life. Work has always been an outlet for me to relax, actually. I think I've said before to my team members, I'm always resting, actually, so when I'm in office, I'm resting from the physical chores at home. And when at home, I'm resting from the mental exhaustion at workplace.
Yeah.
Another aspect I want to share. Passion without proper time management may produce lopsided achievements. Okay? I don't think one is expected to sacrifice your personal life goals, to achieve professional ones.
Yeah,
so I think effective time management and time allocation for things that matters to you is crucial, for your career. Time is the only finite resource that we all have. So we have on average 4,000 weeks. I don't know whether anyone here has read the book 4,000 weeks. So it reaches about 77 years to utilize in our life to achieve our goals, right? I have utilized at least 2/3 of my time resource. So I therefore must be very prudent in spending the balance. So because of that, I'm not known to be a social person, actually. So I don't go out at night and all that. So because I prefer to spend it with the family. But I do try to utilize fully my work days to include working breakfasts and working lunches. So, and also diversify my network of friends across the different industries and expertise as well. So basically, this is actually a conclusion. I think urgency to place our focus on talents is as important as chasing our own the organizational goals, and empowering talents will guarantee the organization to become a much better, well-oiled, efficient workforce. I think it is imperative for us to allow our talents to continuously grow in order for them to feel motivated to produce quality work and remain committed to the organization. Thank you everyone for listening. So that concludes my presentation for today.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Madam Nick. I was about to actually invite you to give the last word on how to conclude things, but somehow at the end of the conversation, you shared a lot of tips, advices that can actually inspire a lot of us today who are actually listening to you. And of course, time flies. We come to the end. And allow me to summarize things, to recap some of the important things here so that we do remember some of the important things to implement in our culture here at RRUM. So number one, of course, we realize how strong the corp actually practicing wonderful corporate culture, working culture here. And I can simplify that corp really go for the people focus, and of course supported by vital DNA, the three DNA. I remember tu tadi adalah Mark. I remember the branding part.
Capacity for growth.
Capacity for growth. Number tu
Heart at the right place.
Heart at the right place. Nampak bayangan gambar rumah ada love kat tengah-tengah tu. All right, so also give a good commitment and strong commitment, I would say, to the learning process, as Corp believe the learning is never-ending journey. We can see how Corp is super creative and go beyond than the conventional way by promoting the mobility program, the flexibility learning, and of course the young talent. We can see how you actually give a serious focus on the full talent, especially the pipeline to the future leaders, and not forgetting about the staff well-being. Take care of the staff. I think the same idea, just like Richard Branson say, that take care of your staff, and then the staff will take care of the customer and companies. Yeah, we were surprised when you talked about the sabbatical leave for your staff and the maximum 2 years. Quite a long period of time, by the way, and all this actually recognized by the other stakeholders as the Corp received remarkable achievement award by the stakeholders. And speaking about the leadership, we can see that very structured, well-versioned formula and tapping the talent, supporting the growth and grooming the future leaders. Well, last but not least, I can see the values that you put when you talking about the healthy society from the healthy parents, and that's somehow quite different. What makes you different from the other CEOs? Somehow I couldn't say that all CEOs talking about profit, but very rare to hear that. All right, so wonderful. It was a very fruitful 2 hours time. And the fact we feel insufficient to actually get to know more and listen more. But yeah, we have a limited time. Hopefully tak serik lah, insyaAllah kalau URA jemput lagi. And I think that's all my part. I'm so sorry for any inconveniences happen throughout moderating or navigating this conversation. Without further ado, I pass back to our MC, Sister Juwaili.
Baik, terima kasih Cik Michael. Okay, so we have just a few minutes, but we wish to thank first of all our speaker, Madam Nik Amizan Muhammad, the CEO from Corp, for the inspiring sharing session, and then the insightful contents for us to at least kita kata ambil contoh kan for IIM. So, and then our moderator, Reza Muhammad, who has gracefully moderate the today's program, and also everyone for their participation today. So on behalf of the organizer, thank you so much for giving us your precious time. We hope it's been a good use of your time, and we would like to apologize if you have caused any inconvenience throughout the program. So before we close, I would just like to again kindly remind all participants, please do log into your attendance link to complete, to register your attendance for today's program, and then to complete the evaluation form. So let us make dua to Allah SWT that this program, it shall support our staff development through the knowledge sharing for IIUM betterment, and maybe also better networking with Corp. Inshallah. With that, I end my duty as the MC for today. And before we adjourn, let us recite tasbih kafarah, and suratul waras. Okay, sebelum tu boleh kalau kita buka kamera kita untuk ambil gambar. Sayang pula kalau kita tak abadikan this moment kan. So boleh kami jemput semua partisipan untuk bergambar bersama dengan our speaker, our moderator and our audience. Okay, everybody ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one, yeah? 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Kita nak freestyle ke? Boleh kot. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, so thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum. Stay safe and we bid goodbye for now. Till we meet again. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Madam Nick. Thank you, Masdi. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Pani.
Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone.
Kalau Man, dia kata nak pergi sana, mana nak pergi?
Boleh.